This is like part two. I began talking about it in the other video. Today, now, we got a situation where the people in Western Asia going to war against the Russians. And they're losing. I told you that the war is going to end in 3 years. They're a little past 3 years. But the Russians, what the Russians and the Chinese are doing is making them burn through all the weapons that they have. So that they cannot fight a war. Making them burn through all the resources that they have, which is money, the credit. Because they don't make money, they just print money. Burn through the money, the printing machine, the printing presses, and put themselves into debt. Now, what happened is now they determined, you know what, we're losing, and all the time you hear the stories about how Ukraine is winning. Ukraine wasn't winning. And when they noticed that 2 years ago, they decided to come up with a plan. We gotta get rid of Russian energy. We gotta all join as one. And right now, America is the head. So we gotta allow America the latitude to fight the war. And we gotta support America at any cost. That was the plan. After they realized that Ukraine was gonna lose. From the time Ukraine did that so-called counterattack with the help of the US and British and the French and the Germans, and they lost so many men, the decision was made that we got to do something else. Right. So they all joined together to create this one entity that's going to fight the Russians. And suddenly they're realizing that, shoot, we're still losing. So now they try to get the Indians in to go against the Chinese. And they figure the manpower that the Indians got will distract the Chinese. But they're still losing. And the Indians now are still teetering on the edge of whether we should join China or not. Not realizing that China is so far ahead of them that they cannot catch up without China teaching them. If you look at what India was trying to do, they trying to create their own weapons with a failing, I mean, spectacularly. Anyway, we're not going to go off on that subject. But then America started grooming the Philippines now. The other day, the Philippine government came out and said, we got to be able to fight a war for at least 30 days before help arrives. Arrive from where? America now is trying to make a deal with Russia. Russia is going to end the war in Ukraine. Ending that war in Ukraine would free up resources they, to stop the bleeding. But one of the things they're trying to do is keep the Russians' money. And they're trying to use it, say that we're going to use the Russians' money to invest. The Russians and us, America, are going to invest the money. You're going to use 100 billion to rebuild Ukraine. Then the other 200 billion we're going to invest together in building, infrastructure. Infrastructure for what? They're trying to get Russian technology. Russia has developed a new means of fighting a war. Totally, a new way of fighting war. And if America's got to fight China, they need that. That's one step that is made. The next step that was made is push China into a war with Japan. And in stepped this lady that they chose. To make the new Prime Minister of Japan. And the first thing that, first big controversy she start up is like, if China attack Taiwan, is an existential threat to Japan. Why? Because America gave Taiwan to Japan when China was a weak. When China was weak now, America gave Taiwan to Japan. And it ruled Japan until after World War II. Then they signed an agreement saying Taiwan is an integral part of China. It is part of China. China is not a part of Taiwan. Taiwan is a part of China. But Japan has continued to support the Japanese-bred Taiwanese who fled mainland China after losing a civil war. Japan has been backstopping Taiwan. TSMC is not an accident. Go look up what TSMC is. Today, the Japanese now have been pushed into rebuilding their military. And now attempting to start a war with China. We're told that the Chinese premier and called Trump to talk about this situation. Trump didn't tell us what the Chinese said. You just said they talk about getting rare earths from China and improving economic relationships and all that. But you got to look at it and say, China, to tell your people in Japan to stop this. It can only lead to war. And Japan is not going to exist anymore. Tell that lady to retract her statement about Taiwan. You are not going to attack China over China's internal affairs. The other thing is now we got this little issue with Venezuela. Long time ago, America would have sent, like what they did to Panama. Go in, they went in and took the president of Panama, snatched them up, take him out. Grenada went in, got the people who got the somebody in Grenada killed the president. Times passed. Nicaragua was the last place that they tried to fight. And guess what happened? Reagan, after Nicaragua, they had to take Grenada for the win. Because the U.S. armed forces beginning to look bad. Can't win a war anywhere. The other day in Israel, the Iranians, without an air force, almost put an end to Israel. Hence, you see the standoff in Venezuela, because your ships might be in the water, but on the water with today's technology, they're sitting ducks. Fighting a war in South America is like fighting the Japanese in Asia. The Chinese know that. The Chinese have studied. The Chinese study you. When the Chinese going to work with you, they study you. They have people that study you. There's very little that they don't know. And as they start to work with you, they fill in those gaps. The other day, a Chinese, well, more than one now, has come out and said, look, even the Russians just come out the other day and say, hey, African people, you got to stand up. 2 days ago, there was another, what the Caucasians call a coup d'etat in Africa. And everybody's scratching their head. I began in the other video with this. What is this military trying to accomplish? Me, I'm seeing them say, look what's happening in AES. If we could accomplish what they are accomplishing, the level of poverty in Guinea-Bissau is going to fall quickly. Our people are going to be on our side for doing this. we're not going to have all this protest and all that's going on across Africa. As you can see from West Africa and Kenya, the protest hasn't died down. You're just not hearing it in the Western press. The one in Uganda, he's the other day I saw things, reports say that he's died. When you get to that stage, it means that your people are against you totally. Not dead. Tanzania, the woman, you know, after the president Tanzania got taken out, she became president. And now she's leading the charge on behalf of the British to keep Tanzanians in the position that they're in. We're in a place now where the other day I talked to you about the financial system and how your money is, you probably will lose it. And ours not, because I'm in the same boat. And how you have to put aside somewhere, somehow. In the old days, women used to carry money in their brassieres and other parts of their body. And I'm using the word brassiere, not bra, as you. I'm from the old school now, as people call it today. In the bed, when I was growing up, seeing my auntie, my uncle, there was a can that they had money in, Milo can. And they had it buried somewhere around the house or the yard. And trust the banks. You see the American financial system in teetering on the edge right now. Look at what's happening on Wall Street. The only thing is keeping Wall Street in the position in is this thing that they call AI. And all the investment is flowing into one company to keep that company afloat, hoping that they can get AI going to bring in the technology fast enough, because they cannot defeat China in the technology race. The last defense now is AI. And China came up with the robots the other day that walked like a woman. You know how a woman walks with style and poise? The Chinese robot walking, almost like it. It's telling you that the Chinese are far ahead of everybody else. Japan now is being forced into a position of being a sacrificial lamb. All right, to fight China and slow China down. If Japan has to fight a war against China, the factories that China built to produce things, the Japanese can say, well, we're in a war with China. We're going to attack these factories and destroy them because they're producing weapons. America knows that the aircraft carriers and all of that that they use, see, they moved them from the Red Sea because the Houthis were doing what? Most of them are moved out of the back into the Atlantic and closer to home, Hawaii and so forth. Still some in Japan that rotate in and out. But when you see them move, the war is beginning. When you see the ships move out of, when I say the ships, the fighting machines, the majority of those ships move out of Japan, Okinawa, the war is about to begin. What's remaining is going to be sacrificed in a bid to destroy the infrastructure of China. We are not paying attention. That's why we're trying to get the Russians in. But what choice is the Russians going to make if they attack China? That's the question that I'm asking myself. Right, man. When they attack China, what will the Russians do? I hope you're preparing. You're seeing all these things happening and you're preparing yourself for it. They said, if you're living in Africa, the other day I read an article that said 40% of the women in America want to leave. They didn't tell you whether it's black or what percentage of black women want. Black women are already trying to get out. They're doing it the wrong way, but they're trying. You don't go to another country without your husband. Most of you have gone to other countries without your husband. You're complaining about how bad the men are in this country. And you're complaining about even black men going to this country and not talking to you when you arrive. How you expect that you're going to denigrate a man? And he said, look, I'm finished with this, and leave. And then you follow him and want him to now pick up and take care of you. He must drop whatever you said to him, how you treated him before, and say, okay, come, I'll take care of you where you are. It ain't gonna happen. Bring your husband with you. You hear what I'm telling you? If you go to Africa, some of you are gonna go get African. But when your money is gone, what do you think is gonna happen to you? You don't know. I've seen all of Africa, even the Muslims. Man would have 5 or 6 children, his wife. Leave her, kick her out of the house. You know, the often I came out of the supermarket and bank, and there's a woman with a baby just born, and 3 or 4 others walking beside her, asking for help. It's your choice how you want to live your life. I'm just letting you know how the world works. Because you're not paying attention. You can stop watching my videos, do what you gotta do. See this? I put up these videos to give information to people who want it. I don't. That's why I never talk about this subject before. Because I never feed pearls to a swine. That's what your Bible says. The one that you follow. Your preachers don't teach you this. When you leave the place where you're living, you're comfortable there, follow that man that you say you didn't want to Asia or Africa. And he created a family there, and now is not even talking to you because he's focused on his family and building up his family. Don't complain. You change your rhetoric, change your action, improve. Be that help that the woman he's found in Africa has become to him. You come to Africa, like I was saying, you might marry an African man, but when your money is gone, guess what's going to happen? Watch the Caucasian women who come to Africa. They come to Africa, play around with the men there, and go back to their country. Some of them marry them and go to wherever they came from, take the man. When the man gets there, stays for a little while, then he goes off. They learned from experience, passed the word around. They were just the same way. They didn't need the men where they came from. But you see them, I mean, all of them, hand in hand with this 20-year-old African. I'm not complaining about that. I'm just telling you the right example. Now, when the world changed and they don't have the money to come to Africa, what's going to happen to them in Europe that they built, in the Asia, South West Asia that they built? Survival. You in Africa, your money is not coming from America because the American financial system failed. What are you going to do? If you don't have a piece of land, if you go to Africa and you got money and live in an apartment, when things fail, what are you going to do? You're not getting money from the US, what are you going to do? You need food. Where are you going to plant some food? You're making videos to make some money on YouTube. You're selling it on Instagram. Whatever you can, you're doing to make money to live in Africa. Selling your soul, your body and soul. When you can't do that anymore, what are you going to do? Africa has reached a position where it can't do the foolishness that the leaders can't do the foolishness that they used to do before. And like the last one, Guinea-Bissau, military took out the leadership. Are they going to revert back? Or are they going to join ADS? Or are they going to leave ECOWAS out and forge their own course, improve their people's ability to survive? What do you think they're going to do? Save you or save the people they grew up? It's a question you got to answer when you get to Africa. So I tell you, you got to build that relationship with those 20% of Africans that stand with you. Get some land or something that you can live on. Put that money, some money in a can somewhere. Because you're still going to need money to trade with. This money, people now depend on money for trade. It used to be gold and rocks and all of that. Shells, no. Money. If a man's got a Europe, if the system fall apart today, Africans will still trade dollars, euros, British pounds, and maybe even Chinese yuan. And they will trade their local currency until it becomes something that you can't even see the face of. That's how it's going to work. They're not going to go back to trading with rocks. That is finished. If now you have plantains or cassava that you can trade with somebody for what you want, you can also do that. Those of you who believe in religion, it says, choose you this day who you will serve. Have a great day wherever you are. Peace.